Today we start something new. There's two bikes behind me right now that you may wonder why I would start something new with. Well, I'm going to tell you that right now. So this one right here, you guys may remember from throughout this year, I've been riding this bike only at the trails. It's the one that I had before I built up my brand new BMX bike that I'm riding on a daily basis right now. So there's this one, and then there's my girlfriend Victoria's bike. So we have both of these, and I realized that I had some parts laying around, and I've been lucky enough to gather these parts throughout the years, that I could build up two other bikes for very specific purposes that I wouldn't necessarily want to use my main BMX bike for. The first of those being something that people ask about all the time. We're doing it, folks. This is it. Front brakes are going on and they're not coming off. The reason why I don't ride front brakes on a regular basis is because I like to do a lot of tricks where I take off my left hand, and having that lever on the left side, especially for like bar spins and just most of the stuff I do, it gets in the way, it hurts, and there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't work the same with it. Same for when I had only one bike that I would ride everywhere, trails and everything. I did not like riding trails with the front brakes on. So this bike right here is going to become a front brake bike. I'm gonna clean it up. Obviously I rode trails in it this year and I didn't clean it one single time. You may be able to tell from looking close at it. So it's pretty dirty. It needs a brake tune up. There's a lot that needs done. I also have some parts that I'm going to be swapping because both of these bikes are going to end up being exact clones of my other bike in terms of geometry and everything like that, so that when I go from one bike to another, it feels exactly the same. So now you may be asking, well, what about this one? This one is going to come later. I'm going to start with this one, but this bike is going to become a trail-specific bike. No pegs, the Profile Elite that you can hear here. It's going to stay. I may keep the straight cable. I have all of those parts from the kink brake overview that I did. Thinking I'm going to put them on here. I also have handlebars. We'll get into that a little bit later when the time comes. But yeah, these bikes are going to be exact clones of the bike that I ride on a daily basis, but meant for different purposes. If you guys are out there riding multiple bikes like gravel bikes, road bikes, fat tire bikes, BMX bikes, dirt jumpers, all of the different types of bikes you can get are for different purposes. And I never thought I would be the kind of person who would want to have multiple BMX bikes. But after a summer of not having to clean my brakes off, not having to clean my rim, not even having to clean my bike at all because it's not getting dirty from riding at the trails, I can just take one bike to the trails, not worry about it, ride it, throw it in my car, and then take the other bike to the skate park. It's pretty nice. And to have front brakes, an option for front brakes, and just, oh, I want to ride front brakes today, we're just going to take the front brake bike, that is amazing as well. So that's what we're going to do. I hope you guys are excited for this. There's going to be episodes throughout. I don't know if they'll be on Tuesdays or if I'll upload them throughout because I want to get this bike done so I can go and ride it at Rays. That was the main purpose for me waiting to do it, is because I really wanted to ride it at Rays, and I had so much going on that I just didn't have the time to get this bike put together. So that's what's going to happen. This one is going to come later because trails obviously isn't for another couple months at this point. I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are too. And in this first episode, we're not just going to be talking about it. We're going to be being about it. We're going to put these brakes on. These front brakes on. We're also going to be cutting the bars down because these bars are an inch wider than the ones I ride on my bike on a daily basis. And I actually like those skinnier bars better. There's also a whole bunch more changes that are going to come to this bike. But for now, the front brakes and the handlebars I think will be good. So let's get this bike out of here. Let me know in the comments if you guys are excited about this series and to see some front brake riding. I'm excited to do some front brake riding. And let's get to working on this bike. And as I said, the first thing that needs to happen is that this thing needs cleaned. Look at how dirty. I mean, I rode this all year at the trails and I don't think I cleaned it one time. So it is a mess. It definitely has been very well ridden at the trails. We need to get it cleaned up. So I'm going to cut back to the camera angle and we're going to get this thing cleaned with a nice time lapse. Well then, I just got off the phone with Mr. Jeff Mead, who is coming out here this weekend to ride, and I figured while I'm doing this, I might as well give some like tips along the way. If you use muck off for the first time and you wonder like, why is it dull? I think it's because you're supposed to wipe it off with a clean rag afterwards, because after you do that, it's shiny and looks nice. We're getting this thing cleaned off here, and I wanted to point out too that something I get asked a lot is, do you have any spare parts that you could give me or sell? And I hate answering that one because I'm like an overly sentimental person, to where when I ride my bike for any period of time with parts on it, I'm making memories on those parts, and it's hard for me to like sell those or give them away. And when I get something through riding, I can't sell it because I can't sell something that I didn't like pay for with money. So it's like a catch-22 where I feel bad for saying no, but I'm very sentimental, and one day I want to have this stuff to look back on and remember all of these things in addition to the videos that I make with it. So that's kind of where that comes from. I hope you guys understand, and I want to make sure that I explain how grateful I am that I have the ability to build these bikes up for these different purposes, because I realize not everybody can do that. And I've been very fortunate through all of the hard work that I put in through these videos and through riding through the years to have this stuff from people that support me. And I'm happy that while I save everything, I can put it to another use in front brakes or trail bike. Very, very grateful for that. And I do not take it lightly. Oh, and naturally, throughout this entire series, we're going to be using, shout out to Park Tools, for everything that we do. So now we'll get to cleaning the wheels. While I'm doing this, I could thank all of the people who have made it possible for me to be able to even do this series in Alienation, STEM, Rims, something else coming very soon for this bike, Nowhere BMX, Handlebars, Sunday full factory frame and Odyssey, you know, forks and those parts. Brimstone Bicycles had a big part in a lot of the parts that are on this bike. I'm very, very grateful for all of it. And obviously, Park Tool for helping me be able to have the proper tools to show you guys what I'm doing and to do it correctly. So we're going to do that. I may change these tires at some point. Maybe I should, because they still have use. They're just not quite as fresh as I'd like for front brake stuff. So let me know. Maybe I'll do that. The front one's probably okay, but the back one's definitely pretty old at this point. So that being said, I'm also excited about another segment of this that's coming next, which should be pretty good. Let's keep on cleaning. So it's also just dawned on me that I never weighed my new bike in comparison to my old bike. So I should probably get a weight on this thing before I go adding parts to it and changing things, so that I can see what this bike weighed whenever I started riding my new bike versus what my new bike weighs. So we're going to do that right now as well. And I'm going to do it the legit way, and I'm going to put the scale into the bike stand exactly the way you're supposed to. My guess is going to be 26 pounds, 7 ounces. That's what my brain tells me. That's what we're gonna go with. Oh, come on. I don't know if you can see that yet. Second angle. 26 pounds, 9 ounces. I was 2 ounces under. What was your guess? I'm curious what my new bike weighs. I may go grab it real quick. Oh, guesses. I'm gonna go with something radical. I'm gonna say 25 pounds even. No way! 25 pounds, 3 ounces. Wow. That shaves a whole pound and a half almost off of my old bike. That's pretty good. And there's a lot of parts on here that are definitely lighter. Folding tires, titanium cranks. That might actually be it. Plastic hubguard in the back. That'll add to it for sure. It's pretty crazy. You can definitely feel the difference. Well, I suppose, excuse me, the first things first here in parts that we should change. Let's get these front brake forks onto this bike. To do that, we're going to need to first loosen our stem bolts, both sides, using the Park Tool AWS 11. Now we loosen our compression cap. Oops. I was just gonna say to worry about that part. Oops. I really should have thought that through. Would it be a video working on my bike if I didn't drop something or mess up somehow or any of the other number of things that could go wrong? Dropping headset spacers. I have a whole headset on here for some reason. I guess we'll just swap out bearings so that I don't have to go down there for bottom bearing. Okay. Installing the forks. So to prevent that from happening, when you loosen your compression cap, you should always make sure that you have your hand on your tire or your rim or your fork on the bottom side every single time. Holy cow. That was unfortunate. Oh, am I not going to be able to run as many spacers? Uh-oh. We may have run into our first problem. Oh my gosh, that is like, I mean, technically it goes, it's just, I don't know, man. It's tight. We'll run it. I would not recommend what I just did for you, because if you pull the threads off of your compression cap, that means you have to get a new compression cap, and that would be unfortunate. Lucky for me, it seems to have worked just fine, and we're okay. Now, before we can go any further, we need to cut these bars because the handlebars are, I need to put on the brake lever over here, and I don't know where to put it because I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch from the handlebars. If you guys haven't figured it out yet, it is chaos doing all of this. It's under control, but it's also chaos, as you can see. And for some reason, this bar end is not wanting to come off. Jeez. That is ridiculous. There we go. Wow. That was in there. Alright, so now we can take the grips off, measure out, and cut. They are exactly 28.5. So I just need to take off a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay. Now, if you haven't seen before, there is a tool from Park Tool, which is the SG6. It's the Saw Guide 6. It literally has a thing. So your saw blade goes into it. You line that up with where you're trying to cut. The way I do it is I put the blade in there, line it up with my mark, and then tighten it down. And then when you cut it, it will be a perfectly square cut. There's also the fact that this saw blade has been used to cut like 5 sets of handlebars. And I need to replace it, but I just haven't yet. So it may take me a second. So cue the time lapse. We're going to use the piece that I cut off as a template, and we're good to go. Round 2, fight! Oh my goodness. Before I go putting any levers on or anything like that, I'm gonna put the grips back on. Oh, my camera battery's about to die. Okay, bar ends back in. Hopefully I can get them in. Huh, no problem. Let's tighten the bar ends up real quick. Not that I'll have to worry about them at all. All right, let's get a little bit closer here and start with some lever stuff. So first off, I'm gonna say right around here somewhere to snug it up. Feels pretty, right? Front brake. Ooh, I don't like that. Yeah, it's gotta go like that. And of course, all of my camera batteries died, so we're gonna use my phone for the rest of this one. But what I was trying to say was that I'm using a rear Odyssey monolever for my front just by flipping it over. So it's further rear like this, just flipping it. And what was cool about these front brakes is I used to keep this fork just in the trunk of my car. And when I felt like riding front brakes, I would just put them on because it's so easy to just loosen your stem up, loosen your compression bolt, pull your other fork out, put this one in, switch your wheel over. Actually, I would just leave a different front wheel on it, so I didn't even have to do that. And then you just put the lever on there, and it's so easy to get these all set up because you can just do it this simply. It would take me 5 minutes to swap them over. And then one day Sponge was there and something came up that he was trying, and I was like, oh, that might be good for front brakes. So it ended up that these forks went on his bike in about 5 minutes and then didn't come off for about a year because he was just enjoying them. And as I was saying earlier, I just don't like riding front brakes all the time. It's funny when I meet some people, they're like, oh, you don't have your front brakes on anymore? I'm like, I never really rode them like full time or anything. But that's how quick that just happened. And all I have to do from here is take the fork that I dropped, drop the bearing off of it, get the front wheel off of it, and put it onto this fork. So I'm going to get this front wheel off of here, and then we'll switch the angle up and, oh wow, and put the front wheel onto the front brake fork. Boom. Easy enough. Now we got the forks off. Are they okay? They're okay. They're not bent or anything. So here we are. We can get this front wheel on. Make sure I put it on the right side. But what I'm going to need to do this is pinch the brakes off so I can get this tire up in here. Hopefully, yeah, it'll go without too much fuss, I think. I'm pretty excited about the future of this project right here. I mean, currently, already, right now, this is a front bike build that I can just go ride if I wanted to at Ray's on Tuesday or tomorrow when I go. Probably won't do it tomorrow, but if I wanted, I could. This front rim is thicker than the rim that I used on it previously, so I may have to adjust. Come on. There. Okay. My front brakes are already dialed in. Everything feels good. And there we have it, I believe. We've got the front brakes on the bike. They're pretty dialed. Listen. Sounds pretty dang good. So I'm going to probably do a live stream dialing these brakes in. I may get new housings and cables and whatnot and completely redo them if adding tri-flow and just cleaning things up doesn't help. But make sure you guys stay tuned for that and the next video in this one, which I am very, 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 very excited for. I probably won't have it on this bike at that time, but I'm excited to talk about what will be going on this bike, and many of you may have a guess at that. That being said, there's episodes coming after that as well, and riding episodes too, because this thing is to a point where I could just go and ride it if I wanted to. So that being said, let me know if you guys are excited about this series in the comments down below. And hopefully you enjoyed it enough that if you're new here or you haven't yet, you'll hit that subscribe button down below so we can see you tomorrow for another one. Thank you for watching.